Hello students, today we're going to recap last time's lesson and then move on to today's lesson on alternative energy. Intro to alternative energy. Last time we talked about fossil fuels and we said that there's three kinds, a solid, liquid, and gas. Petroleum is the liquid kind. Through a process called distillation or refining, you can separate, let's say this black crude, into different types of fuel like gasoline and diesel and jet fuel. It's kind of like when you get milk from a cow. You can refine it and process it so you can have cheese and you can have the milk that you drink, you can have butter and so on. Similar process. Most petroleum was formed from microscopic organisms, tiny little creatures that live in the ocean. And as they died, they drifted to the bottom of the ocean. And as the oceans move around because of plate tectonics, some of these pockets were under high pressure and created the petroleum and natural gas wells that we have. Oops. So this is a picture of Los Angeles County. You can see how there's all these wells because Los Angeles and Orange County, Long Beach as well, had pockets of petroleum, which if you look at this map, you can see some of them have been drained and some of them still have a little bit of petroleum left. And the reason why is because a lot of this area here over the last several million years was under the ocean. The ocean moves around because of plate tectonics and the land does as well. And now it's overland. Natural gas is a gas type of fossil fuel. You use it when you cook, let's say, from your stove. And coal is a solid one. Usually petroleum and natural gas form together. Coal is usually made of dead plants, as when petroleum is dead mostly of microscopic organisms from the ocean. When trees and plants die, sometimes in the right conditions are there, and they are under high pressure, they turn into coal. This graphic is, graph is for 2010, and you can see how in 2010 we were using about 1,000 megawatts of coal and natural gas. So natural gas is one of the primary ways that we generate electricity in LA County and Orange County as well. But we'll talk about these other ones another day. Problems with fossil fuels is they create lots of pollution. This pollution is probably leading to issue of global climate change. So let's talk about alternative ways that humans use to create electricity aside from fossil fuels. One way is using nuclear energy. Nuclear energy is when you use radioactive materials such as uranium or plutonium, mostly uranium in nuclear power plants, to create a process called fission. In fission, you usually shoot an atom of hydrogen at a very big and unstable molecule of uranium, and that causes a chain reaction where energy is released. All this energy is released as heat, and this heat can be used, a little bit of light is released too, but mostly heat. That heat is used to boil water, and the water spins this turbine, and this has magnets, because remember turbines are connected to a generator, and they have magnets and copper wire, and as it spins it creates electric current, enough to power many homes. If you've ever been to San Diego, maybe you've seen this one here. This is the San Onofre nuclear power plant, one of the closest ones to Orange County. And this one is currently closed because some people had concerns, which we'll talk about in a second. But there are still operational power plants, nuclear power plants in the United States. Some advantages of nuclear. Well, unlike fossil fuels, nuclear has no air waste. This stuff coming out of here is steam, water vapor from the water that evaporates from that huge amount of heat through the process of fission. You also need a little bit of fuel to make a lot of energy. Disadvantages, though, is sometimes nuclear reactors can melt down. That means when the process goes out of control, and sometimes there's cracks or leaks, which can cause explosions, and radioactive water that's supposed to stay trapped in the reactors to leak out. This picture is of the Japanese nuclear power plant, which had a meltdown because there was an earthquake which caused cracks in the reactors, and a lot of material escaped into the Pacific Ocean. Here's a picture from the National Oceanic Atmospheric Association, and you can see this is Japan, how a lot of that pollution was carried around by ocean currents. Usually pollution from nuclear processes takes a very long time to decompose. So sometimes here's another example. You have meltdowns like here in Chernobyl. In Chernobyl, they had a meltdown which caused major devastation in the city where people had to evacuate. And a lot of the land is still radioactive to this day. That happened in 1986. And it's 2020, and most places of Chernobyl are still inaccessible because the radiation levels are still too high. So a lot of the theme parks and buildings and hospitals had to be abandoned because of people were getting radiation poisoning. Here's signs saying to stay out of the area. The waste lasts so long that usually it's put into barrels and then put underneath mountains or in very, very deep wells, and it will stay there for millions of years until it finally decomposes. So it takes a long time for the waste to disintegrate. There's another way we can use nuclear energy, and it's a lot safer. It's called fusion. The sun makes energy through fusion. In fusion, when you have atoms combine, like the sun forces hydrogen to combine, it creates tons of energy as well. That's why the sun is so hot. And then you have that are released, but usually they are not as radioactive and dangerous. So in the sun, hydrogen is fused into helium, and helium obviously is not radioactive or harmful. Scientists haven't figured out how to do this here on Earth. You require lots of energy to try to fuse it. So we haven't figured out how to do it yet, but scientists are trying to figure it out, and maybe we'll figure it out soon. All right, that's the end of this first lesson on alternative energy, and we reviewed fossil fuels. Go ahead and write down the notes for today, and then have a great day. Don't forget to write your summary. Okay, so here are the complete notes. Have a good day.